When we're talking about moving and lifting patients, we first need to know the equipment, then I can give you the tips on how to do better patient movement. So first is the EMS stretcher. This is how we get the patient to the hospital. We're going to roll them in on that EMS stretcher, and that stretcher stays in the ambulance. We're going to bring it out to get the patient on, put them in the ambulance, then bring them to the hospital, right? The thing is, it's not that easy. Patients are at times immobile. Sometimes patients are in areas where they're not ambulatory, they can't move. So how do we get the patient from wherever they are to the stretcher to the ambulance? How does that work? The other piece of equipment, so number 2, is the stair chair. So the stair chair, I would say, is very, very commonly used in EMS. And let's say you find a patient, let's picture a call. You have an 88-year-old female patient with chest pain, difficulty breathing. And she's found on the second floor with a spiral staircase. That patient's not gonna walk, right? The stretcher can't go up there. How are you getting the patient down? Do you put the patient on your back and bring him? No. We have a stair chair. So the stair chair, it has a device in the back of it where you can slide the patient downstairs. But those stairs have to be straight stairs. If it's a spiral staircase, it won't track up. So you have to actually lift the patient with the stair chair, and there's little grips you can do that with, and you bring them down to the ground level. Once we're on the ground level, and we have no more stairs to deal with, usually this is outside the home. Stair chair is brought outside the home. The stretcher is there outside the home, ready to go. The blankets are ready to get. And then we go ahead and take the patient, lift them up from the stair chair onto the stretcher, and then pack it in the stretcher and then into ambulance. So now you have 2 scenarios. Let me give you a third one. What if your patient is in trauma environment, motor vehicle accident, or maybe in, we call it austere environment or area, maybe like a woodland area, for example. So 3 pieces of equipment I want to talk about here. One is a scoop stretcher. So a scoop stretcher, kind of like it sounds like, it scoops the patient up, and it's almost like I don't want to say a mini backboard, but it's 2 metal pieces that come together, and it scoops underneath the patient. So you're able to roll the patient and you just scoop right under them and then lift them up. It's called a scoop stretcher. So from there, we can bring the patient to the EMS stretcher and then to transport. A backboard is a completely flat piece of plastic where we can roll the patient, roll onto the backboard, put them on the stretcher, transport. Okay, that works too. It's a plastic backboard. Now, the other device that is used in EMS, and also with fire departments and rescues and stuff like that, especially, some may call it a Stokes basket. For this video, we're gonna call it a basket stretcher. Has a little more weight to it, a little more bells and whistles with it, if you will. It can be slung up in the air for rescues, but this basket stretcher is for really moving the patient through. Let's just say, for example, we have to go for a very long environment so we get back to the stretcher. You might want to use that stretcher in that case. Pretty cool? So those are the types of equipment. Now I want to give you some tips you gotta know. Number 1, you need to have good communication with your partner when you're lifting any scenario. If you have poor communication, so if I'm moving a patient along, every few seconds, how we doing? Feeling good? Doing good? Okay. Let me know if you need a break. Okay. Right? That's what we want to be in good communication. How are we doing coming down? Doing good? All right, good. We're almost there. A few more steps. Okay, 1, 2. Constant communication. It helps to have someone, if you're doing a stair chair, spot behind you on your back. That way they're spotting you and watching your steps, right? And you also have another person there to hold you up if you need to. The main thing with the stair chair I want to bring up real quick is when you're bringing someone in the stair chair, you do not want the patient to reach out of the stair chair. So what you can do is have the patient give, if possible, if they're awake enough, give themselves a hug like this, and then the straps, strap them over like this. So that way the patients cannot go like this, because it feels weird being hoisted up going down a spiral staircase, right? The patient then, it's a little harder for them to reach out and grab, whoa, and when it happens then is the patient can tip over. So what you want to do with the awake and alert patient needs to be moved, whether you're working 911 or doing, transport at the EMT level, is look at the patient like this and say, hey, Miss Jones, we're going to move you on this chair. The biggest and most important thing is that you don't reach out. If you reach out in the chair, it could tip over. So I want you to give yourself a hug like this. We're going to put a few straps on you coming down. We're going to do it nice and easy. Well, whatever you do, don't reach out. Okay? Now, when you say that, they still might reach out. It's a reaction. But remember, do this method, should work for you. Second thing I want to share with you is about bariatric patients. Never be afraid to call for help when the weight of the patient is too much for one crew to handle and you need multiple crews or a fire department, right? Or special equipment you don't have. If you hurt yourself, the patient's called 911, what about them, right? The patient won't be helped. But you need to call early. If you recognize this, don't be a superhero. Recognize early, call for help, manage your patient while you're waiting for help, right? There's also a bariatric stretcher as more wide for a bariatric patient. That's number 2. Now, number 3, we're going to talk about the stretcher itself. So with the stretcher, when you're moving the stretcher, let's say through a sidewalk, you want to keep the stretcher low. There's a setting in the stretcher to bring it up and down. We don't want to be low to the ground. We want to be about belt level of you and your partner. We don't want it all the way high. We want it around belt level. So this is very important. In icy conditions, you really want to go twice as slow when moving the stretcher and maybe even keep it a little bit lower. So that's very important to remember when you're walking in icy conditions. If you're narrow, you fall over easier. If you're more wide with your stance, that will help you. Now the next thing is about how do we get the stretcher into the ambulance? What I recommend that you do is if you and your partner are around the same strength level because you have the stretcher is kind of tilted, what you can do is you can team lift into the ambulance, right? If you have a great disparity between the one provider and the other, one's super strong and one's not very strong at all, at that point, the provider who's much stronger may just do the lift themselves because it provides better balance. Obviously, in some areas and in a lot of areas, you may have a stretcher that's automatic, so you're not lifting at all. But if you have to lift them into the ambulance, now you know about that. Now, here's my super secret bonus tip you only learn from experience. Here it is. When you're working in the back of the ambulance, and hopefully you can see me here, I'll try and stand up so you can see me. Let me move this chair real quick. So when you're in the ambulance, you're not standing up completely tall at all times, especially if you're pretty tall. You're kind of hunched over like this, doing patient care. So you want to be very mindful of your back when you're in the back of the ambulance. Try your best to kind of bend your knees a little bit to move around. You don't want to be stiff and let your back take over, walking up and down the back of the ambulance all day. That's just a quick tip that I've noticed from my experience, passing it to you. Hey everyone, I really hope you enjoyed that little lesson on lifting and moving patients. Hope the tips helped you. If you're someone getting ready for school, if you're in school right now or getting ready for national registry exams at any level, from EMT, advanced EMT, paramedic, first link in the description is lifetime access to my video vault. In that video vault, I give you access to me as well in the community group to ask questions. If you want to learn more about this, first link in the description, and I will catch you in the next video. I'll see you there.